Book 3, Chapter 10, Part 2 of Armadale. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Magdalena Cook. Armadale by Wilkie Collins. Chapter 10, Part 2. I have been back some hours. I have been thinking, and nothing has come of it. Ever since I got that strange letter of Midwinter's last Sunday, my usual readiness in emergencies has deserted me. When I am not thinking of him or his story, my mind feels quite stupefied. I, who have always known what to do on other occasions, don't know what to do now. It would be easy enough, of course, to warn Major Milroy of his daughter's proceedings. But the Major is fond of his daughter. Armadale is anxious to be reconciled with him. Armadale is rich and prosperous, and ready to submit to the elder man, and sooner or later they will be friends again, and the marriage will follow. Warning Major Milroy is only the way to embarrass them for the present. It is not the way to part them for good and all. What is the way? I can't see it. I could tear my own hair off my head. I could burn the house down. If there was a train of gunpowder under the whole world, I could light it and blow the whole world to destruction. I am in such a rage, such a frenzy with myself for not seeing it. Poor dear Midwinter. Yes, dear. I don't care. I'm lonely and helpless. I want somebody who is gentle and loving to make much of me. I wish I had his head on my bosom again. I have a good mind to go to London and marry him. Am I mad? Yes, all people who are as miserable as I am are mad. I must go to the window and get some air. Shall I jump out? No, it disfigures one so, and the coroner's inquest lets so many people see it. The air has revived me. I begin to remember that I have time on my side, at any rate. Nobody knows but me of their secret meetings in the park the first thing in the morning. If jealous old Bashwood, who is slinking and sly enough for anything, tries to look privately after Armadale in his own interest, he will try at the usual time when he goes to the steward's office. He knows nothing of Miss Milroy's early habits, and he won't be on the spot till Armadale has got back to the house. For another week to come I may wait and watch them, and choose my own time and way of interfering, the moment I see a chance of his getting the better of her hesitation, and making her say yes. So here I wait, without knowing how things will end with Midwinter in London, with my purse getting emptier and emptier, and no appearance so far of any new pupils to fill it. With Mother Oldershaw certain to insist on having her money back the moment she knows I have failed. Without prospects, friends, or hopes of any kind, a lost woman if ever there was a lost woman yet. Well, I say it again and again and again, I don't care. Here I stop. If I sell the clothes off my back, if I hire myself at the public house to play the brutes in the tap-room, here I stop till the time comes, and I see the way to parting Armadale and Miss Milroy for ever. 7 o'clock. Any signs that the time is coming yet? I hardly know. There are signs of a change, at any rate, in my position in the neighbourhood. Two of the oldest and ugliest of the many old and ugly ladies who took up my case when I left Major Milroy's service have just called, announcing themselves with the insufferable impudence of charitable Englishwomen as a deputation from my patroness. It seems that the news of my reconciliation with Armadale has spread from the servants' offices at the great house, and has reached the town, with this result. It is the unanimous opinion of my patroness, and the opinion of Major Milroy also, who has been consulted, that I have acted with the most inexcusable imprudence in going to Armadale's house, and in there speaking on friendly terms with a man whose conduct toward myself has made his name a byword in the neighbourhood. My total want of self-respect in this matter has given rise to a report that I am trading as clever as ever on my good looks, and that I am as likely as not to end in making Armadale marry me after all. My patronesses are of course too charitable to believe this. They merely feel it necessary to remonstrate with me in a Christian spirit, and to warn me that any second and similar imprudence on my part would force all my best friends in the plate to withdraw the countenance and protection which I now enjoy. Having addressed me, turn and turn about, in these terms, evidently all rehearsed beforehand, my two Gorgon visitors straightened themselves in their chairs, and looked at me as much as to say, You may often have heard of virtue, Miss Gwilt, but we don't believe you ever really saw it in full bloom till we came and called on you." Seeing they were bent on provoking me, I kept my temper and answered them in my smoothest, sweetest, and most ladylike manner. I have noticed that the Christianity of a certain class of respectable people begins when they open their prayer books at 11 o'clock on Sunday morning, and ends when they shut them up again at 1 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. Nothing so astonishes and insults Christians of this sort as reminding them of their Christianity on a weekday. On this hint, as the man says in the play, I spoke. "What have I done that is wrong?" I asked innocently. "Mr. Armadale has injured me, and I have been to his house and forgiving him the injury. Surely there must be some mistake, ladies. You can't have really come here to remonstrate with me in a Christian spirit for performing an act of Christianity." The two Gorgons got up. I firmly believe some women have cats' tails as well as cats' faces. I firmly believe the tails of those two particular cats wagged slowly under their petticoats, and swelled to 4 times their proper size. "Temper we were prepared for, Miss Gwilt," they said, "but not profanity. We wish you good evening." So they left me, and so Miss Gwilt sinks out of the patronising notice of the neighbourhood. I wonder what will come of this trumpery little quarrel. One thing will come of it which I can see already. The report will reach Miss Milroy's ears. She will insist on Armadale's justifying himself, and Armadale will end in satisfying her of his innocence by making another proposal. This will be quite likely to hasten matters between them. At least it would with me. If I was in her place, I should say to myself, I will make sure of him while I can. Supposing it doesn't rain tomorrow morning, I think I will take another early walk in the direction of the park. Midnight. As I can't take my drops with a morning walk before me, I may as well give up all hope of sleeping and go on with my diary. Even with my drops, I doubt if my head would be very quiet on my pillow tonight. Since the little excitement of the scene with my lady patronesses has worn off, I have been troubled with misgivings which would leave me but a poor chance, under any circumstances, of getting much rest. I can't imagine why, but the parting words spoken to Armadale by the old brute of a lawyer have come back to my mind. Here they are, as reported in Mr. Bashwood's letter. Some other person's curiosity may go on from the point where you and I have stopped, and some other person's hand may let the broad daylight in yet on Miss Gwilt. What does he mean by that? What did he mean afterward when he overtook old Bashwood in the drive? By telling him to gratify his curiosity? Does this hateful Pedgift actually suppose there is any chance? Ridiculous! Why, I have only to look at the feeble old creature, and he daren't lift his little finger unless I tell him. He try to pry into my past life, indeed! Why, people with 10 times his brains and 100 times his courage have tried, and have left off as wise as they began. I don't know, though. It might have been better if I had kept my temper when Bashwood was here the other night. And it might be better still if I saw him to-morrow, and took him back into my good graces by giving him something to do for me. Suppose I tell him to look after the 2 Pedgifts, and to discover whether there is any chance of their attempting to renew their connection with Armadale. No such thing is at all likely, but if I gave old Bashwood this commission, it would flatter his senses of his own importance to me, and would at the same time serve the excellent purpose of keeping him out of my way. Thursday morning, 9 o'clock. I have just got back from the park. For once I have proved a true prophet. There they were together, at the same early hour, in the same secluded situation among the trees, and there was Miss in full possession of the report of my visit to the great house, and taking her tone accordingly. After saying 1 or 2 things about me, which I promise him not to forget, Armadale took the way to convince her of his constancy, which I felt beforehand he would be driven to take. He repeated his proposal of marriage with excellent effect this time. Tears and kisses and protestations followed, and my late pupil opened her heart at last, in the most innocent manner. Home, she confessed, was getting so miserable to her now that it was only less miserable than going to school. Her mother's temper was becoming more violent and unmanageable every day. The nurse, who was the only person with any influence over her, had gone away in disgust. Her father was becoming more and more immersed in his clock, and was made more and more resolute to send her away from home